Okay. Go ahead, John. Can you read the part as leader?
So, as leader and teachers of seers, he saved immeasurable multitudes. This Dharma teacher, wonderfully bright at that time, had a disciple whose mind was forever occupied with laziness and sloth, who was greedy for fame and profit. He sought fame, profit, insatiably, often often amusing himself among clansmen and those of other surnames. He threw away what he had studied and memorized, neglected, and forgot it, failed to understand it. Because of this, he was named Seeker of Fame.
Can you summarize, please?
So it was about this bright disciple who was described as his mind forever occupied with laziness and sloth, that was greedy for fame and profit. It's something that he rather sought after, as well as profit, which he often amused his clansmen and those of other surnames, to which he neglected and forgot and failed what he's supposed to understand, which earned him that nickname Seeker of Fame.
So basically, this is normal like us, right? Sometimes because of the attachment to the self, so we work with the spiritual part. We may seek for fames, for recognitions. So I think this is normal until we realize as those fame and recognitions would not very much in our spiritual path. Okay, continue with this.
But he had also carried out many good actions and thus was able to meet with innumerable Buddhas. He made offerings to the Buddhas and followed them in practicing the Great Way, carrying out all the 6 paramitas. And now he has met the lions of Sakyas. Hereafter, he will become a Buddha whose name will be Maitreya, who will save living beings extensively in numbers beyond the calculation. After that, Buddha passed into extinction. That lazy and slothful one, he was you, and the Dharma teacher wonderfully bright. That was the person who is now I myself. I saw how the Buddha taught bright, sun, moon, bright, earlier manifested in a specific portion like this. And so I know that now this present Buddha is about to preach the Lotus Sutra. The signs now are like those of the earlier auspicious portent. This is an expedient means used by the Buddhas. And the meaning is that he also carried good action, that he was be able to meet many Buddhas. He also make many offerings to the Buddhas, and even carried the 6 paramita too. And this is, he will become a Buddha whose name is Maitreya. and he also saved many beings. So after the Buddha passed into ascension, so majority Bodhisattva say that the lazy and slothful one was Maitreya Bodhisattva, and the Dharma teacher, wonderful and bright, is Manjusri Bodhisattvas. And so he see how the Buddha taught, right? Did this a special portent. So, and this is when the Buddha is about to preach the Lotus Sutra.
Okay. So do you remember last time we mentioned about how the past Buddha and the present Buddha advocates or encourage us to study Lotus Sutra, or how they emit the bright light from the middle of their eyebrows? Remember that?
Yeah, the last time he mentioned that the way Buddha did this because he wanted to show all the living beings, even the monks and nuns, to follow his path, the path that to become a Buddha, to join the Buddhahood.
Yeah. So the important is they always encourage us to work on the path of what you call the Buddha paths to attain Buddhahood, not attaining the arhatship, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Miss Thân Tư, would you like to read this?
Yes, Tay. So I'm starting. Now when the Buddha emits this beam of brightness, he is helping to reveal the meaning of the true entity of phenomena. Human beings now will come to know it. Let us press our palms together and wait with a single mind. The Buddha will rain down the rain of the law to fully satisfy all seekers of the way. You who seek the three vehicles, if you have doubts and regrets, the Buddha will solve them for you, bringing them to an end so that nothing remains. So basically, do you want me to continue, because that's the end of that chapter?
Yeah, you can stop. That's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what you said earlier is that the way how the Buddha signify is that he emits the light, the beam of brightness. So that is a sign for all of us to know that to know what's going on. And then one of the things is that we press our palms together and wait for the single mind. The Buddha also will pass down, when basically when he passed down the law, it's a way for us to seek his teaching. And you who seek the three vehicles, so if we have, basically we should seek for the three vehicles. And if we have any doubts or regrets, the Buddha will find ways to help us and bring us to happy endings. So what's important about the three vehicle is that we should listen. We should understand the Buddhism by reasoning, and we should apply Buddhism in our daily life and try to seek enlightenment and try to help others to attain Buddhahood.
Yeah. Do you know the three vehicles? What are they? You know?
Yes. So I just list. I list for you. Those are the three vehicles: is to understand Buddhism by listening, or one who understands Buddhism by reasoning, and to understand Buddhism by applying Buddhism in your daily life. And the last one is the one who's, if we should try to seek enlightenment and try to help others to attain Buddhahood.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
William, you understand what they try to say about vehicles here? Sorry, we cannot hear you, William.
Yeah. Sorry. I never heard it the way that she had just explained it. I think that's a really beautiful explanation. I think it's also with like seeking arhatship, or to become a pratyeka Buddha, or to become like the Bodhisattva way.
So that's what later on the chapter relate to the burning house, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The car.
Yeah. You remember how the Buddha relate the three vehicles to the burning house?
Yes. Yeah, they're in the analogy, there is a rich father whose kids are playing in a house, and the house is on fire, and there's all sorts of dangerous stuff in it, but they're so engrossed in their play that when he's calling to them to come out of the house, they won't listen. So he knows all of his individual sons, and he knows what they like. So to get their attention, he tells them that, hey, so-and-so, I have this cart that's drawn by a deer, and then someone else, I have a cart drawn by, I think, a horse, and someone else, a cart drawn by an ox, something along those lines, basically different carts that all appealed to each of his individual children, and just to get them out of the house. And then once they got out of the house, he gave them all like this amazing cart beyond their imagination that they all would have preferred anyways, but maybe he couldn't have even explained it to them before because they hadn't imagined it.
So in that chapter, the three vehicles relate to which paths of Buddhism?
Oh, so the three carts that are used to lure out the children.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the three paths of like the voice hearers. I like, don't voice hearers seek to become arhats is my thinking, and then the pratyeka Buddhas, so the ones who seek to become enlightened, but not for the sake of other people, so they never end up turning the Dharma wheel and liberating other people. And then the bodhisattvas who seek to become Buddhas through the bodhisattva way.
Yeah, actually, the last part is the Buddha path. They say it's similar. Okay. All right. Thank you. Miss Thân Như Thân Tư, is this is understandable?
Yes, Tay. Thank you.
Miss Tammy, you understand?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so we move toward the chapter 2. Somehow the translator summarized, this is pianized, he summarized what's this chapter about. Okay. Yeah, go please, Miss Tammy.
At that time, the world-honored one calmly arose from his samatha and addressed Sariputta, saying, "The wisdom of the Buddhas is infinitely profound and immeasurable. The door to this wisdom is difficult to understand and difficult to enter. Not one of the voice hearers or Prakata Buddha is able to comprehend it. What is the reason for this? A Buddha has personally attended 100, 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000, a countless number of Buddhas, and has fully carried out an immeasurable number of religious practices. He has exerted himself bravely and vigorously, and his name is universally known. He has realized a law that is profound and never known before and preaches in accordance with what is appropriate, yet his intention is difficult to understand.
You understand?
I think basically it's just saying that the wisdom of the Buddha is so hard to understand just because he's so evolved, that he's, been Buddha so many different times. For others to understand, it's going to be difficult.
Okay, yeah. In one Padu Sutra, the 2 section sutras, the Buddha said that it's pure rare to become human, and it's pure rare to encounter Buddhism, and it's rare to encounter good noble advisor. That means good teachers, a spiritual teacher. And the last one is it's rare to meet a Buddha, so it's not easy. So he lists out that types of 20 difficulties. So those are the difficulties among those 20s. It's not easy for us to meet him. All right, go ahead, please. Thank you, Pammy. Go ahead, William.
Okay. Shariputra, ever since I attained Buddhahood, I have through various causes and various similes widely expounded my teachings and have used countless expedient means to guide living beings and cause them to renounce attachments. Why is this? Because the thus come one is fully possessed by both expedient means and the paramita of wisdom. Shariputra, the wisdom of the thus come one is expansive and profound. He has immeasurable mercy, unlimited eloquence, power, fearlessness, concentration, emancipation, and samadhis, and has deeply entered the boundless and awakened to the law never before attained. Shariputra, the thus come one knows how to make various kinds of distinctions and to expound this teaching skillfully. His words are soft and gentle and delight the hearts of the assembly. So, and then summarize it.
Please.
Okay. So basically, the Buddha's letting Shariputra know that since attaining Buddhahood, that he's been teaching living beings using all of these different approaches. It kind of generally referred to as expedient means, and adapting the expedient means to the individuals to help them to accept the teachings and practice the way. And he's able to do this because of, all of these past deeds he's done, the wisdom he's gained, the realization of Buddhahood, the understanding that goes along with it, and the kind of the penetrating insight about people. And just his qualities are immeasurable. There's no limit placed upon them, and these kind of foremost abilities, being power and having no fear and being able to concentrate, and when you say he has emancipation, I guess I think of that as him just being free from any limitations or bounds. And so he uses all of these abilities for the benefit of living beings.
Yeah, thank you. Do you remember the time that right after his enlightenment, somehow Mara invites him to enter Nirvana, and he responds that no, I can't, because I have not have the 4 types of disciple yet. The 4 types mean monks, nuns, lay women, lay men, and later on he wait for a Brahma king who went out to request him to turn Dhamma wheel. You remember that story?
I didn't remember Mara inviting him to enter Nirvana. I do remember from reciting the Lotus Sutra where it says, like, at that time, the Brahma kings, along with the heavenly king Chakra, the 4 heavenly kings who guard the world, and the heavenly king Great Freedom. I remember that part where they appear and beg him to turn the wheel of the law. But I don't remember Mara. I don't remember hearing that part.
Yeah, actually, that's the part of the mystery. And later on, 3 months before the Buddha passing away, Mara appeared again and they say, well, you know, now you have 4 types of disciple already. Why don't you enter Nirvana? And so Buddha says, yes, okay, I will. At that time, he was about 80. And right after the Brahma kings request the Buddha to turn Dhamma wheel, this Brahma king remind the Buddha that there's all kinds of living beings out there. They have different types of potentials. Some of them may have potential to become Buddha if the Buddha turn the Dhamma wheel. So that's why after he requests the Buddha turn Dhamma wheel, this means start to teach 3 times. So the Buddha contemplate and use the experience means to teach the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Paths so that people could understand and have better chance to attain arhatship than to say that we need to work to the Buddhahood to become Buddha. And I think in the last part of this sutra, the Buddha will repeat in many occasions. Okay, let's Miss Thân Như.
Yes, Thầy. Shariputra, to sum it up, the Buddha has fully realized the law that it is limitless, boundless, never attained before. But stop, Shariputra, I will say no more. Why? Because what the Buddha has achieved is the rarest and most difficult to understand law. The true entity of all phenomena can only be understood and shared between the Buddhas. The reality consists of the appearance, nature, entity, power, influence, inherent cause, relation, latent effect, manifest effect, and their consistency from beginning to end. Should I summarize? Okay.
Please.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. So basically, it's just saying that that the Dharma law is limitless and is boundless, and is something that has not been seen before. But the hard part to understand is why is it that the Buddha did not want to allude to more? And he said that it's a rare law. It is a rare occurrence in the world. It is difficult to understand, and there are many factors that come into play before a person can truly be deserving or has enough karma to be able to understand and to meet and to have the proper environment to be able to receive the teaching and and not only just to receive it but to be able to fully understand it.
Okay, thank you. In the Vijnana, that means in the discipline books, especially for the novice, the Buddha remind the novice that, especially in the higher traditions, before drinking water, they need to use the filter to fill out the bacteria. In the Mahayana traditions, they need to recite the verses as well as the mantra, because first the Buddha say that with a cup of water, there are 80,000 bacteria, and imagine that more than 2,500 years ago there was no microscope at all, and Yeah, only the Buddha wisdom could recognize with his second eyes. He could recognize and saw that type of materials. Of course, in modern age, we have the instrument, the microscope, to see through those materials. And also in some Mahayana Sutra, it said that on the tip of a single hair, there was a planet, a universe. Thân Thiền, you understand what's mean? On the tip of a hair, there was a universe.
Um,
Like our hair, the Buddha say on the tip of our hair, there was a universe. Is that understandable or that's incredible or what? What do you think?
it's a kind of really strange to me.
Huh?
It's really strange.
Mr. Can you understand that some Mahayana Sutra, the Buddha say that on the tip of our hair, right, one single hair, there is a universe there. Is that
Well,
understandable?
I assume that, from my understanding of it, anyways, that just like in the cup of water, but in any strand of hair, not only it's not so simple that it's a strand of hair. There are things that are present on that hair that we don't know, and the amount of it is there is life, or there are existences of life, whether it's microscopic, whether it's microbes, whether it's bacteria, whether it's whatever it is on that strand of hair. So what he's saying is for the effect of, even though we don't know and we don't think about it and we don't realize it, but there is sentient existences everywhere, even at the tip of our hair.
Hmm. Right now they have what you call nanotechnology, right, William?
Yes.
You familiar with that technology?
Yes. Where they can manipulate individual atoms, and they can actually build computer circuits. They can build structures atom by atom.
Yeah, so what do you think about Ms. Thân Như when we have this kind of technology, nanotechnology, to compare with, yeah, you just explained correctly about that statement, the Buddha statement. But what do you think about nano's technology? Or even right now we have what do you call jump drive, right, or SD card that can, it's too small, it's like a tip of our fingers, but it contains probably a library of books, right? What do you think, Mr. Thân Như?
Well, I find that it is spectacular that back in the days that he has the foresight, or he has he was magnanimous enough to be able to declare that kind of phenomena during a time where I'm sure at the time that the earth was declared to be round, there was already criticisms, and people are saying that how can you say that, it is so crazy. But for the Buddha to declare that there's microorganisms on a level that is so small that in this day and age would require, let's say, electron microscope or something to the nano level, that it is so significant for him to be able to establish that kind of existence. So yes, to me, it is phenomenal.
Yeah. Anyone want to share about this? Miss Hem.
There's a children's book that this reminds me of a children's book. This story you said on the tip of the hair. Horton hears a who. It's a Dr. Seuss book. It's about like on a tip of a flower, there's a village where everybody has their own life and stuff, and they're trying to survive on the tip of this flower.
Oh, really?
This
Wow.
is probably what he's getting back to. It's really cute.
Would you send me the link of that book?
Yeah, sure.
Wow,
It's a movie too. It's a kid's movie too. They made it into a movie now. Yeah, it's cute.
Wow, that's funny. See, the wisdom of the world is beyond our human thinking. That's incredible. And this is happened more than 2,500 years. Back then, we didn't have electricity. We didn't have any luxury equipment like now. But the Buddha could see that through. Yeah. So, okay. So that's why.
Can I? Sorry, Thay. I don't know how to raise my hand on this, so I don't know when if it's okay to request to speak.
Yeah, please.
And I don't want to interrupt you, but I also, I just want to make sure it's not disrespectful. Yes, I also thought about the Horton Hears a Who, but as you had shown us, one of the first lessons, the grand solar system and the lands and the worlds that the Buddha sees us, it must be equivalent to, and it must be phenomenal, but he sees us just like we are a universe that's sitting on top of a hair. So that kind of recognition, I wonder if it's comparable, because he is, in the sutras, they say, the Buddhas of other lands are so large. The other lands, the existence, the people, or the people who are in that land, their size is so large. But in the land of the humans, our gods or our Buddhas are small, and the people is small. But don't underestimate us. So I think that is a teaching that that we ourselves should take it along that kind of thinking, that there are smaller worlds or existences that are so much smaller, just as we are considered small to other Buddhas of other lands, but there are things that we don't know that is equivalent or comparable to our size relatively.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's related to what we call the Trikaya, three bodies of the Buddha. You know about that story? That's theories. Three types of Buddha's bodies. Miss Thân Như.
No, I don't think.
Thầy giáo Pháp, can you elaborate more the three types of Buddha bodies? Thầy giáo Pháp, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, there are three types of body for each Buddha. Each Buddha do have three types of body. So the first one is the Dhammagaya body. That means the Dhamma body, basically. What does that mean? It means that Dhamma, that means true principle from the universe. And that means in this universe, all the law in the universe, the Buddha know everything. Nothing in the universe that he do not know. So that make him become the embodied into the Dhamma body. It's just like embodied. So Dhamma body, that's what it means. So all Buddha have the same Dhamma body. Yes. The second body we call the reward body or the retribution body. This body is different from Buddha to Buddha. Why? Because before they became Buddha, they have to go through numberless lifetimes in the past to practice the Bodhisattva path. In order to fulfill their vow, so during the time they practice the Bodhisattva, they make numberless vows, and they have to go through all these things to fulfill their vow so they can become Buddha. And therefore, each bodhisattva have a different type of different vow. Therefore, the retribution or the reward body also different. Okay. The third body we call the transformation body, and also different too. They are not the same. So depend on the practice, the vow of the bodhisattva during the time they practice. That also different from one Buddha to the other. So the transformation body is the body that it's an experience mean to use that body to liberate the living being. And I think it in the transformation body there are three different type of transformation body. The great, the medium, and the small. So I only know in general, but anyway, yeah, more for that.
Yeah, you see that this one here, the three kaya, three bodies of Buddha. Yeah, Dhammakaya, that's in Buddha nature, or any one of us has that kind of Buddha nature. But for all Buddhas in the past and present, they attain the Buddha had. That means they have um, mm, uh, went back to their Buddha nature. And the next one is this reward body of Buddhas. And like Mr. Thân Như just mentioned, all the Buddhas may have different bodies in size, in retinues, and so forth, depend upon how they make the vows and practice in the past. And the last one, the Buddha reincarnation or transformation body, that any Buddha can use this power to transform themselves into different form of lives so that they can teach. So let me go back to a story that's similar to the comment that Ms. Thân Như mentioned. So one day, Bible Mongoliana, the one who was foremost in how the Buddha disciple, he tried to test the Buddha's sound. So while the Buddha was speaking, so he used his psychic power to fly far and far away from the Buddha, of course, far away from this earth. But still, he could hear the Buddha teaching clearly, like he just stood nearby him. So somehow he flew too far that he went to another Buddha land. So somehow he landed on a bowl of a Buddha, of that Buddha. So there's some monks that say, well, look, Buddha, it's some kind of beings, look like humans. They walk, that creature beings walk on your bowl. So that Buddha say, well, don't despair this beings, because he's one of the great disciples of the Buddha who is foremost in sacred power. So after that, that Buddha say, well, why don't you transform yourself in, into bigger body like us? So he did. And so Moggallana asked the Buddha about that Buddha land, and of course that Buddha asked him how he ended up here. So that so Moggallana said, well, I want to test the sound or the voice of my teacher, my Buddhas, Shakti Buddha in the Sahara world. So that Buddha smiled and said that, well, you cannot test the voice of Buddha. Wherever you go, you still heard the sound of Buddha or the voice of Buddha. So from that time on, Mongolian depend his mistake, because he tried to test out Buddha voice to see how far the Buddha voice or sound could spread to. So at that moment, this monk Mongolian, even he has psychic power, but he uh, rely upon that Buddha and second Buddha to fly back to see him. So again, that's one of the Buddhist story. Let's go beyond our human. But still, it illustrates that yes, because of their vows in the past and their affinity to certain type of people abuse, and that's why they are physical appearance may be different, but their Dharma body are the same, and their skill or second power of transformation body, or that means they can utilize the second power to transform in any form of life to teach others the same way. So that's the story. I think it's more similar to what you just mentioned, right, Ms. Thang Như?
Yes, Thầy. Thank you, Thầy.
Yeah.
I have another question. I hope I'm not taking two. In this day and age, when you make these, when you explain things to us, and we can compare it to what it is that we know now. We have, like you said, we have electricity, we have science, we have electron microscope, we have regular microscope, we have technology. During the time prior to all this, what was the reception of the people? So other than just accepting the teaching in pure blind faith.
I think so. Yeah. That's why we're so blessed that we have some equipments that we can test out the Buddha explanation, like the materials, like the word system, and so forth. Even now, when we talk about the Mount Sumeru, there is no equipments can, no telescope can view the Mount Sumeru that exists in Buddhist cosmology that the Buddha tried to explain to us. So even science, modern age science still have some kind of limitations. And even I wish that one day we could have some equipments that could recognize where we will be heading to, where we'll be reincarnated, to be reborn into, but not now, right? There is no way for us to have now, but hopefully, eventually, with advancement of technology, we could have that type of equipment to recognize where we heading to for the future life. What do you think, William? Is possible? Or you don't know? Is it impossible?
Well, I mean, if there is this subtle body, this Bardo body that exists, then there should be some means to detect it. Because if it exists, then it has some measurable phenomena associated with it. It would just be a matter of having the right sort of detection device to pick it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And actually, go back to your question, Mr. New. Definitely, 100 years before. I mean that. Before we have this kind of modern age technology, most of the time I think people just trust the Buddha word. That's all, and they put into practice. And only the one who attain enlightenment could have those kind of second powers, second eyes to recognize those phenomena. Let me tell you one small story that relate to what we discussed. So during Buddha times, there was an old man, about 80 years old, too old, that his children kicked him out of the house. And so somehow he has no way to go, so he went to the monastery and asked to become ordained, become monk in the monastery. So somehow some art, before they accept that students, they need to use their second power or second eyes to see whether their student have some kind of connection or affinity with Buddhism or not. So most of our heart, I read that, wow, that old man, he didn't have any kind of connection or affinity with Buddhism at all. So they reject his request. And this old man, he's so sad that he went to the river and be ready to jump down. I mean, commit suicide because no one accepts him at all. So somehow the Buddha will pass by and ask what's going on. So that old man replied to the Buddha, what's going on? So the Buddha said, don't worry, follow me. I will take you as a monk. So he led him to the monastery and ordained him as a monk. And within 7 days, he attained arahantship. And so it makes all arahants surprised and ask the Buddha, what happened? We use our sacred eyes to see more than 84,000 kampas. This old man didn't create any kind of good affinity with Buddhism. So how could you help him to attend arahantship within a week? So Buddha say, wow, your wisdom and your sacred power is so limited. Beyond that, 84,000 kampas. So one day, one time, it was a hunter. Somehow he went to the forest to hunt the animals. Somehow he encountered a tiger. What happened? He's so frightened that he climbed up to the trees. And at that moment, yes, the tiger used his claw to push the trees down, or to use his claws to dig the earth so that the tree would fall down, so that that animal could consume that hunters. And so at that moment, because he's so frightened, that hunter say, Namo Buddha, help me with his sincerity. And the Buddha say, because of that saying, because of that sincerity, that he called out for Buddhas, that's why at this lifetime I could help him to become monk, and he could attend arahantship. You understand now, right? So that's why the Buddha said that our heart's wisdom could not surpass the Buddha wisdom. And again, that's of course there are different level of spiritual attainments. So anyway, so that's the whole story that relates to how the Buddha views is unlimited, go beyond space, go beyond time. Is that understandable, Mr. Thung Như?
Yes, Thầy, I do understand. So by the same token, to answer your question, then everything is potentially possible in the future, based on your inquiry as well. If will we be able to know what is possibly our reincarnation in the future? So perhaps based on the Buddha's wisdom, that will be over time achievable as well.
Yeah. So hopefully, we with the investment of technology, we could have that type of equipment. Ms. Thâm Tư, you have any questions about this explanation?
Yes, Tay. So I'm trying to grasp the idea of, I understand what is being said, but for the duration, right, for attaining arahantship. So what I'm trying to understand is that the Buddha can see the sincerity and the characteristic of that person. That's why he was able to attain arahantship very quickly within a week, versus someone that has been reading a lot of sutras, and they've been doing a lot of prayers, reading a lot of sutras, and they're not able to attain arahantship yet. Is it because they don't have certain qualities, the same as the man that was able to attain arahantship in 1 week?
Yeah, actually in Buddhism, that is the normal phenomena. You know the story about the sixth patriarch of Zen traditions? You know his story?
No, Tay.
Huay Nang, you know that?
No, Tay, I do not.
You don't know him? Oh. Thăng Thiền, you know who's the sixth patriarch in Zen traditions is?
No, Thầy.
No? Okay. How about William, you know, right? You know him?
Yes, yeah, that was.
What's
when I went out to college, that's one of the books my mom bought me, is the Jewel Platform Sutra.
Yeah.
Talmuds, my mom bought me the Six Patriarchs Jewel Platform Sutra. So yeah, he was a woodcutter. He supported his mother by cutting wood. He lived a very simple life, and he was in the market selling wood. And he heard a disciple of a master of a nearby temple reciting, I think it was a line from the Diamond Sutra.
Yeah.
And he just heard these like few phrases, and he immediately became enlightened.
So what's special about him?
Well, he cultivated good roots in the past. So the the only things obscuring his view of enlightenment were they're very thin. So he didn't have any heavy karma to block him. So it was like you have a tree that's almost all the way chopped down. All you need is like one little chop for the tree to fall down. His mind was prepared to hear that, and then the Dharma could actually complete its function and enlighten him quickly.
Yeah, one reason why I bring up his story, because again, he was uneducated. He didn't go to the school, but somehow his wisdom is so profound that when he heard the sentence of a Diamond Sutra that was recited by a man who is his customer, so he recognized on the spot about his Buddha nature. So basically, in Buddhism, we don't value, actually we don't focus much whether people are educated or not, but we value the sincerity. We value the sincere practice of a cultivators of a Buddhist. So whether they are intelligent or they slow, or whether they're educated person or not, is not much important. That's why you can see that in the Buddhist Sangha or the monastic communities, all kind of people living together without any kind of discriminations, because the Buddha nature is go beyond educations. So some people, they may be well educated, but somehow they would not. Some of them not all, but some of them would not have certain types of proper behavior. So some of them, they may attach to what they learn or what their knowledge about. So in Buddhism, it's not those things, those worldly knowledge, even the knowledge about Buddhism without practicing um, is insignificant. It's one story, one more story. Today we have a lot of story. Right? There's one more story. There's one monk. He went to see this Patrick master, and according to the tradition, you need to pay respect. That means you need to bow down when you see the high monk, the elderly monks. So this monk, he didn't bow to the sick patron, and this sick patron say, "What happened? What kind of attachment you have then?" So this man say, "Well, I recite the Lotus Sutra 3,000 times because of his attachment." So he proud himself. So the sick patron say, "Well, if that's the case, you would change, you would convert by, you change by the." You will control by the lotus flowers. Uh, you could not control the lotus flowers. That means that because his attachment to how many times he recited sutra, so he proud himself. With that kind of proud, he gets stuck with that kind of attachment, and that go against Buddha teachings. So again, I go back to your question, Mr. Thân Tư. In Buddhism, the sincerity is the most important. one of the most important factors for a Buddhist cultivators to practice. It makes sense, Miss Thân Như Thư?
Yes, it does, Tay. And I can understand and correlate that because it's not about quantity, but it's about the quality, right? The sincerity and the quality of how you view different things in life.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a love story. I could tell you, but somehow, anyway. Okay, let's start. Let us read the last. I mean, the next paragraph before we end today. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. So these are the verses that were spoken by the sixth patriarch. Even he didn't know how to drive. He asked an officer to drive for him. Yeah. So this is related to this one here. Okay, let's see here. Oh, have you read before, Mr. Thân Tư?
Yes, I have, Tay.
Oh, you have. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, thầy giáo pháp, right? You have not read, right? Oh, Miss Thân Như, have you read that yet? You did, right?
Yes, Tay, I did.
Yeah. Go ahead,
I
thầy.
had my turn already.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I have short memory. Go ahead, thầy giáo pháp.
Yeah, no problem. At that time, the word honor one, wishing to state its meaning once more, spoke in verse form, saying, "The hero of the world is unfathomable among heavenly beings, or the people of the world among all living beings. None can understand the Buddha power, fearlessness, emancipation, and samadhi, and the Buddha other attribute what no one can reckon or fathom. Earlier, under the guidance of countless Buddha, he fully acquired and practiced various ways, profound, subtle, and wonderful doctrines that are hard to see and hard to understand. For immeasurable millions of kalpas, it has been practiced this way until in the place of practice, he achieved the goal. I have already come to see and know completely this great goal and recompense the meaning of this various nature and characteristics. I and the other Buddha of the 10 directions can now understand this thing. Yeah, so basically, in here, the Buddha said that the Buddha wisdom and the Buddha experience mean that he used whatever the Buddha wisdom and those things. No one can be able to understand it because it's so profound. It's hard for everyone to understand why was that, because he already undergone to numerous Buddha in the past, and to learn from those Buddha, and so he be able to perfect the. That means he go to million of kalpas. He have practiced it until now. He perfect that. He achieved the goal. That means he became Buddha, and that's why only among the Buddha can understand those nature and characteristics. No one else.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? I think we let me mark this one. Anyone else want to share any question further before we end?
One more, I would like to say a quick thing to that.
Yeah, go ahead, thầy.
I remember that I saw some of the video in the YouTube. They said that maybe 100 years ago, we thought that the phenomenon, external phenomenon, it affects our mind, it creates the way we think. But now they realize that the consciousness is the one create the reality, not the other way around. So the consciousness is create the whole world, the whole universe. So basically what they do is all professional in the medical field, in maybe a doctor, psychology, pharmacist, whatever. They came together and they are scheduled to meet Dalai Lama in India and to interview him 4 days for consciousness. Want to interview is not for religious, but for the medical, the term of in to help the patient. So at least for that, what does that mean? It means that the more advanced in science, that is how the Buddha teaching become clear and clear. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thầy, can you hear me?
So it's somehow internet is slow. Can you guys hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes, Thầy.
Yes,
So
Thầy.
thank you. Sorry. All right, so good. Thank you. So time is up. Let us stop here today. And today we learn a lot of story. Yeah, go ahead. Thân Thiên, can you say Namo Shakti Buddha, please?
Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha.
Thank you. See you next Saturday. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Thầy.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thầy, and
everyone.
everyone.
Okay.